Sbiis here with Jonathan Bowers in his home in Tyler, Texas. Today I'm going to be asking Bowers a few questions on behalf of the community that he himself may have inspired. I'm speaking of the Googology community. Thanks for agreeing to this interview this morning.
Howdy.
Alright, so let's begin by looking at some of your polytope models here.
Yeah, that right there is the compound I call Girsids. And it's a compound of two Girsids, which is the gray inverted retro snub dodecahedron, and you have two of them mixed together to make this little booger. And you can see the complicatedness of this guy.
Ah, yeah.
I may have been one of the first to make this. I remember George Hart actually had on his website, he'd buy me a beer if I made one, or anyone built one. And saw it to him in person and got a root beer from him. That was fun. When I was at Bridges.
How long did it take you to make that particular model?
Probably about 50 hours worth of work.
Yeah, that's a lot.
At least about a week.
Wow.
Yeah, I built all 75 of the uniform polyhedra, which got me started in the study of polytopes. And the polychora and all that, which I started discovering them. And it's a fun project and coming up with names. Some of the names can be quite funny sounding, like Thaquitoth or Thaquitpath or Gogishi.
Yeah.
And some of the others, like are semi-uniform, what I call it. All the corners are alike, but it can have different edge lengths. And you have weird-looking pentapod faces going across through here. And puts a nice surface, make a good Christmas ornament. You know. And another one I brought, a real popular, called the Kited 24. It's the dual of Circo. Circo is a small rhombic cuboctahedron. And that was a really nice one. It's a fair dice, too. And I've been looking at four-dimensional fair dice, which this one here is an unfolded 13 cell, or tridecacorin. And so it has 13 identical sides, shaped like these little funny things here, which has a dysphenoid symmetry group to it. And here, this right here, is one of the pieces of patahi. So if you was cutting patahi out of poster board and wonder what it would look like, this is one of the pieces, and you need 120 of these in your three-dimensional poster board, and have to cut that out, and that's just one of the piece types of patahi. And I got 4 of the 9 piece types of Girsids here. That looks like a spaceship. It looks like a weird bowl. That kind of thing is like some weird rod. And think of 5 of these coming around, forming almost like a crown jewel type thing. And I'll show you some of this other stuff fits here. This kind of has a weird kind of clam look. You'd have, I think it's 6 of these that fit together like this, 3 in a ring. And then you would have another forming what looks like a clam, and you need 1,200 of them folded inward. And there's going to be little spiky things inside there too. And then let's see this guy. Show you how that connects. There would be 4 of these that would actually fit in a tetrahedron, and they're capped with this here. It kind of fits like that. And they would actually fit another one right over here. And they form some really odd things. It's kind of neat seeing what these things look like in 4 dimensions, or even 5. I haven't even looked at the pieces of 5 dimensions yet.
So when you're talking about fitting those pieces together, can you actually imagine in your mind what that would look like in 4-dimensional space? Or do you just have kind of an idea?
Yeah, I kind of have some idea, more like looking at it piecewise. Like the whole thing, you kind of, whoa, a lot of data to seep in. But you kind of look at it piecewise and see, what does this area look like? Or what does that particular area? And
you just have to understand the connectivity, basically.
Yeah,
right?
not like it's folding inwards or outwards. And I first started with cross sections, but you know, there's just so much you can see with that, you know. And seeing what the pieces look kind of gives you a little better feel. And I started putting that on my website, where you kind of, I think I call it, like making the polychora. And I got making patahi, where you can see it spinning and see the combos, and then see the individual pieces in there.
So how many years were you building these models?
I started building them, I think, in the late 80s, like 1988, 89. And even before then, I kind of built some like premature versions or something. I was kind of mashed on like Rubik's Cubes. And I got interested in Rubik's puzzles. You can probably see I collect them back here. And I got into that and started drawing these little marks on these polyhedron models, make them look like you can twist them, but you couldn't, and just models like that. And I kind of got started that way. And I remember in an art class in school, I started to, they was making cubes, and then I started making other things like the eye.
What were your classmates' responses to your work?
They were pretty impressed. I remember the teacher enjoyed them too.
So the reception was very positive.
Yeah, it was. And I just kind of got more into it. And my interest in fourth dimension came about the same time as my interest in polyhedra. And so I decided to look for the 4D ones. Couldn't find nothing much in books except for some of Coxeter's books, and found like the regular Polycora in there. And Polycoran word came from George Chesky and Norman Johnson. They joined up and coined that. And I've adopted it. And it works pretty good.
Were you interested in polytopy first or Googology?
I guess it kind of came about the same time. Because I was interested in numbers as a little kid. When I was like 3 or 5, I was really into playing with those toy magnetic numbers. And
did you have an affinity for large numbers even back then, like stringing up a whole bunch of digits in a row?
I think at one time I remember making an odometer out of those little push-up popsicle things in a big long wire, and I'd put them in there and stack them up, and you can make all kind of numbers. I guess I was in the teens during that time.
Oh, okay.
And that was a lot of fun. And how I did the numbers, I would cut out paper and tape it around there, write the little numbers on the end. And you can twist them up and see any number from 1 to probably a decillion or more. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I used to do similar things as a kid, too. I was obsessed with writing 1 followed by a bunch of zeros.
And when I was 5, I remember asking my mom, what comes after a million? And she would say, billion. What comes after that? And a trillion. She couldn't go much further than that. So it was later on, I was looking at a dictionary and found the word octillion just by accident. And it said 1,000 septillion. So I just followed the chain all the way back to quadrillion and trillion. And I figured, well, there must be a decillion. So I looked it up, and it's 1,000 nonillions. And I kind of saw,
And then you were able to extrapolate the whole pattern?
Yeah.
Were you familiar with the Latin numbers?
I was kind of familiar with it because I've heard it like in polygons and stuff. So I've heard of like hexa and all that.
So I got to ask, do you consider yourself a Googologist?
Yes, I do. I find that kind of an interesting term. It's kind of catchy, you know. And Google's just a real popular big number. And it's just popular for a long time.
So you don't feel, you feel it's a good name then for the
I think it is a good
subject.
name. It's an interesting one, I think.
What are your thoughts on the growth of the Googology community?
Yeah, I think it's kind of neat. I guess it's becoming a Googleological function. Maybe not quite. But
it's a little slow for that.
Yeah, a little slow. But it is neat that
but
people
it's growing.
get interested.
And it's definitely caught on.
Yeah.
I think bits and pieces of Googology have always existed.
Yeah,
if you think of the sand reckoner, maybe Archimedes was being a bit of a Googologist when he wrote that, you know?
Yeah,
I kind of obsessed with coming up with as big a number as he could come up with.
Yeah, I came up with my own story. I'll have to publish it online one of these days. Where I had this bird taking a whole planet away, one sand grain at a time, with a round trip of 1,000 years. And when he took the whole planet out, his mom said he needed to take it all back. So he took it all back. And then when his mom saw it, one sand grain changed its color to blue. So he had to take it back and then back again, then turn a different sand grain blue, turning the first one white. And the whole planet was tied together like an odometer in a car. Like binary
code, yeah.
Yes. And then he had to do it over and over and over and over and over again until he got it all blue and then turned back to sand color again. And it got
like
worse.
the sand reckoner on steroids.
Exactamente. Yeah, and I even went further than that. So there were other planets in another dimension that was growing and doubling in size and all that. And you had to do the same thing with it.
There is a certain obsessive quality to Googology, certainly.
Yeah, it usually starts off simple, then it goes and way out in left field.
Yeah, and I think it is a kind of like a personal recreation.
Yeah, that's the way I see it. It's fun coming up with number names. I find them kind of fun. I always like Gongulus. That's one of my favorites.
That's one of my favorites, too. I love your numbers, especially.
Yeah, and Congulus, I like that. And Gavel is a neat one. And if anyone wondered how to pronounce that big one, Milakapua Oompa.
Well, you heard it here, folks. That's the correct pronunciation. From Bowers himself.
Yeah.
What do you think of exclusionists like Louis Epstein?
Exactly.
You're familiar with him.
Yeah.
He's communicated with you by email.
Yes.
And he has a very negative attitude towards the Googology community.
Yeah.
Right? He feels that the Google nomenclature is kind of broken.
Yeah.
And he prefers to extend the aliens instead.
Yeah.
I sometimes refer to him as an alienist, although he doesn't actually self-describe himself that way.
I do like the aliens. I got my own version, and Sabian helped fill in the blanks for me, and I think it's nice. But you know, you can just go so far. You can't really just fly off into left field and find something like a gongulus or.
Yeah, I find working with the aliens kind of limiting.
Yeah, it kind of holds you back a little bit.
Right.
If you really want to get out there, you need something huge, something like a ray notation or Sabian's extensible E to get there.
Right.
Okay.
I think his objection is that there's something kind of unnatural about just picking a random big number and then giving it a special name.
Yeah.
But I think that that's kind of incorrect, because when you think about it, million, billion, trillion, quadrillion, we kind of naturally tend to do that. You don't want to have these long names for all these numbers.
Yeah.
If you get up to something big, you want something handy and short, to kind of give you a rough figure. So you can say, the population of the Earth is in the billions.
Yeah.
That's nice and easy.
Yeah, it is.
So Googology, I think, is just an extension of that concept.
Yeah.
So instead of having a sequence of names that is multiplied by a factor of 1,000, maybe they're power tower stacks.
Yeah, power towers.
Or a number of up arrows being recursed, or whatever you need it to be.
Yeah.
I don't know actually why he's so hostile towards the community, but he basically has said that he kind of wants nothing to do with us.
Oh man, I guess it's just his preference,
Yeah, I mean, he has the perfect right. So I don't begrudge him that. But I was kind of interested on your opinion on his particular approach to large number studies.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a fun field. It has a lot of creativity built in, because you're like coining names for these things. And you want something fun, catchy, Not
well, do you think the main objective is to try to make the numbers as big as possible?
Yeah, that's one of the things, or maybe just some of the neat ones in between,
Right.
It's something that would really blow your mind, but at the same time you can define it.
I think his main project is just that he wants to be able to name all the numbers.
Yeah, I think that's a good deal,
Yeah.
I mean, we can use aliens for that.
But I kind of think of that as a different objective than like work that you've done and work that I've done in Googology, where the goal really is to try to push the recursion as far as possible, and then kind of come up with the names as sort of almost an afterthought.
Yeah.
Right? You work that way, right? You come up with the
like
notation
that.
first, and then you come up with the names?
I usually come up with the names after the notation. There's a few cases where I thought of a good name. I thought, I want to give that a big number. Oblivion was a good example.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how well defined it is, but it's like way out there. So you would need a mathematical system that needs up to a gongula symbols to describe the thing, but it has to be functional. If it ain't functional, it don't count. And you can use up to a congula symbols in that notation and come up with the biggest possible thing that works and leads to a specific number, and that's the Oblivion. So I thought, well, that's a good name because it's way out in Oblivion somewhere.
I do like the name.
Yeah, it's catchy.
It is catchy.
I love the catchiness.
What do you think of Joycean style Googology?
I got a kick out of that. I do love the name Googology that came.
Well, yeah, I mean, we wouldn't even have that word if it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
So he definitely gets the credit for that.
But like, who is this guy? Nobody knows.
I noticed that his style is different than yours.
Yes.
Because he's not primarily focused on trying to make the numbers as big as possible. He's more focused on coming up with the most whimsical and crazy ways to come up with big numbers.
Yeah, kind of a more, whimsical. And I think it's good to have a whimsical side of it. Just make sure it works and you do your math right.
Yeah, well, that unfortunately is a problem with his article. He made some mistakes with basic exponential laws. And also, his main function is the extension of the, what was it, the generalized Ackermann. Unfortunately, I did find that his rules actually didn't make much sense.
Yeah, I got to read your article, Sabian. I got a kick out of it. Real comical. Didn't have popcorn, but I think it had some wasabi peas or something.
Close enough.
That worked.
So let's go back to what first got you interested in large numbers?
I would say, being like I said as a kid, I was always interested in numbers and just playing with math and stuff. And then I got curious in aliens and stuff. But I guess over time, I just kind of got into it. Like I remember seeing a book on the up arrows and stuff, and called tetration. And that really got me into it. And I was just wowed by how big those numbers were. And later down the road, I decided to come up with like another higher order of operators, and then a third order and a fourth order.
And that's basically your extended operator.
Extended operator. I don't know if you can see this, but here's some of the drawings I did of some of the higher extensions. That would be like up to I think it's 8 array notation. Yeah, it's a linear arrays with 8 entries. Some might call it octintrical size.
But that notation ended up being way too cumbersome.
Yeah, it would be. You wouldn't be able to type it.
Yeah.
It looks fun as a drawing, though, but trying to get that on the typing. I don't think there's any HTML code for that without JPEGs or something. Yeah.
So how many years did it take you to actually develop just the basic concept of array notation? Like say up to extended dimensional arrays.
I don't really know how many years. It probably 1 or 2, probably at the most.
It's probably very fast. Right?
It kind of went real fast. I started with these extended operators, and then
you realized you could do arrays.
Do an array, and then I started coming up with like arrays, kind of going further, like a second order, third order, fourth order, fifth order linear arrays. And I thought, well, I can write that as a number. And then I thought, I put another number there, and I started coming up with that.
Hello.